All right, hello everyone. My name is Gulch2, and I'll be taking you through NecroVision Lost Company. NecroVision Lost Company is an alternate history World War I FPS horror game. It is filled with crazy tricks, hilarious characters, and a wide assortment of enemies. I'm also joined by Schmumbler to help me out on commentary here.
Hey everyone, I think our last runner called this game something along the lines of much better than it has any right to be, and yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Amazing. Couldn't agree more. All right, and with that, we'll just go ahead and get started. I'm gonna click new game. We're gonna be playing on the recruit difficulty, and I'll start the timer once we get past this first chapter here.
Jonas Zimmerman, day 4.
All right, and
I have
let's
successfully
go.
All right, so this game is primarily defined in its speedrun by
plagues being even faster
a couple different mechanics, but they all have pretty much the same end result, which is super jumping.
Men.
And so Gulch here has grabbed a rifle first thing, because the fun quirk of this game is if you manage to have a particular type of weapon and you melee while sprinting and jumping in such and such timing, it just launches you for some reason. This is also technically a not quite frame perfect, but pretty close kind of trick. So we actually use a frame limiter to run this game at 30 FPS under most circumstances. That just makes it easier to hit the super jumps. But yeah, first level right off the bat, Gulch is just flying through the air. We've already hit out of bounds. We've already completely deloaded the level for small bits of time, and now we're doing an alternate kind of super jump where Gulch is literally just running into a corner between two physics props, and it also just launches him into the air. Now we're in an area that we're not supposed to be in. Gulch just drops down into an out-of-bounds section where there's a lever, and that is the end of the level. So, yeah. This is going to be a running theme for this game.
Yeah, lots of flying in the air. It's definitely the highlight of the run. So much out of bounds. And the execution of the rifle jumps is really fun to perform. If you can get consistent with it, it is very satisfying to pull off.
Yeah, it is very finicky, but it feels great whenever you land one, especially when you're just chaining them back to back like this. And you'll also see a lot of times when Gulch is doing these super jumps that he'll his forward momentum will just die midair and he'll drop straight down. That is not him hitting any kind of object or wall. That is him timing his movement inputs to cancel his forward momentum in order to land where he needs to. And it doesn't look quite so impressive here because all you're doing is going to a plane, but in the upcoming levels there's going to be some really tight jumps involved.
Mm-hmm. And moving on here to chapter 3, this is our first and only part of the game where we'll have a mandatory vehicle section. There is another part where we have to go into a vehicle in the beginning of the level, but luckily we can avoid having to drive around the whole level using it. This one, a bit hard to avoid here.
Yeah, this is kind of an auto-scroller. There are some things that you can do to speed it up. One thing is you see Gulch taking this very particular path to destroy all of the planes in one go.
What is that?
That's a lot harder than it looks too. It's very easy to just crash into the ground and die. I've done that several times. There's also a fun little quirk with the game where if you quick save during a voice line, it will reload or attempt to reload the voice line, and where it reloads you into that line is kind of random. So you might listen to the whole line all over again. You might skip the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And we'll have some intentional save strats here at the halfway point of this level. So like Mumbler mentioned, you can use a save function, quick save function, while dialogue is happening in order to potentially skip some of it. Sometimes it can just stay in the same spot and you're like, oh, okay, that really did nothing. But if you're lucky with the right timing, you can skip some audio, causing the game to progress a little bit faster, get us through some sections without having to wait till the end of the dialogue. But in this section, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
In this section, we're just kind of going around in a circle. This is a little bit of an auto-scroller section. We're just shooting these on-fire manta rays out of the sky. I couldn't tell you why, but we're just doing the thing. And yeah, it's just a bunch of flying around, waiting for this train to be clear of all of these enemies.
So the thing that I was going to mention is, weirdly enough, so the plane has controls where you can speed up and slow down with W and S.
It's a pity we had to destroy those creatures.
Typical, I guess, for these kinds of games. The weird bit is that you actually still have access to your sprint.
I could have found out what they are and how to make use of them.
You'll even see it in the next section when we're in a turret. You can sprint while we're standing in the back of the plane. It's quite amazing.
Which is so pointless too, because the second half is literally on rails on a timer, and you cannot speed it up even if you can speed it up.
So here we have some of the audio skips that we're doing.
Change seat there, and you say
like there, I didn't get one. Yeah, and there, he said come on, and I pressed save at the right point, and it just ended the audio there, so we didn't have to sit through the rest of that dialogue, so that saves a little bit of time. Now this section here, we're
everyone's favorite part. Yeah.
There's no way to make this any faster. There's nothing we can do to speed up this fight. There's a health bar associated with the boss, but if we were to spray down the boss the entire time, we would not deplete its health all the way. There's absolutely nothing you can do to speed this up, so we're just kind of protecting our plane here, trying to shoot these fireballs out of the sky. And
there's even a glitch where if you like mash the left click button, you'll actually rapid fire much faster than you're supposed to, and even with that, you can't even get the boss more than halfway down in health.
I actually didn't know that you could spam this faster. Yeah, a lot of the guns in this game, you can just click instead of holding down the primary fire button, and you'll actually shoot faster. And you also have a chance of not having to reload, skipping the reload animation altogether, and just being able to continuously fire. We used to use that for a strat for some of the later bosses, but it turns out there's an LMG that you can pick up on the way, and that kind of prevents us from having to do that strat, because the LMG you can just mow the enemies down. And
DPS,
yeah. Which, now that I think about it, I don't think I've tried the tapping strat with the LMG, so maybe that could be even faster.
I've tried it in the first NecroVision, and it, like, I think it did do the thing where it was firing double the bullets, but it did not seem to be doing any more damage.
Okay. So here we're almost at the end of this dragon section, and the rest of this game really amps up. We'll see rifle jumps out of bounds all throughout the rest of the game, but here we're just waiting for the dragon to fly away, and we'll skip the cutscene, and that'll be the end of chapter 3. This game has 10 chapters in total. That one is 5 minutes and by far the longest one, but all the rest will be pretty speedy.
Yeah, realistically, this is one of the more long levels casually. But we just kind of, fly our way around. A lot of out-of-bounds movement in this one. It's really fun to pull off and really annoying to not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a good boost.
That was, wow.
I'm gonna crouch in a corner here inside of the mountain to try to clip all the way through, and then run at a specific time in order to make it down to a walkable area. So here, there we go. So we're gonna just climb under these mountains here, and we're gonna do a little bit of Skyriming and traverse these mountainsides. So you can see I'm running into different slopes along these mountains in order to get huge boosts of speed upwards. It's not the most consistent thing, but it works enough. So I'm gonna crouch in this corner and try to get back out of bounds, but also in bounds, question mark. I'm gonna try to
definitely past invisible walls, yeah.
So we're just kind of making our way to the end of the level here, skipping a lot of going into caves and fighting enemies and stuff like that. We're just going right to end of the level here where this church is. There is a cool trick you can do here that is very hard to do. Yeah, okay, we won't go for that more than once, but you can actually jump. Yeah, you could actually jump and land in these trees and make it up to the top of this church without having to do what I'm doing here.
It's really funny because a lot of the invisible walls in this area are so high that even with super jumps you can't get past them.
Yep. And now we're gonna jump over this barrier, grab this key.
Let's head for the monster.
And that key is what we need to open up the last of the level. Here's like a barrier, but if we just jump and look up, we can just slide right up it. And
yeah, technically you're supposed to kill those enemies before you even get past the barrier to get the key. But this is a lot easier.
Do you want to explain what I'm doing here, Shmumble? There's going to be a lot happening in the beginning of this level, so we'll just get right into it.
Ooh, yeah, this is one of the shorter levels in the game, so what Gulch is doing is he's immediately super jumping up and getting out of bounds so that we can grab the carburetor. Well, actually, no, we're not even grabbing the carburetor, are we? We're skipping that. Yep, just completely jumping over it. So we're supposed to be grabbing an item that the game requires for us to get to a weapon later on in the game, but Gulch just skips that, grabs the grenade launcher that's usually locked off, and runs straight to the end of the game.
Yep, that's the end of chapter 5.
And technically, you can finish the level without even grabbing the grenade launcher if you manage to get yourself out of bounds enough, but one, that's really hard. Two, the grenade launcher is very helpful in this chapter particularly.
Yeah, you'll see it come in use at the end of the level. If we did not have it, we would lose quite a bit of time, so it's worth taking the time to grab that weepon. You could actually complete that last chapter by just going out of the church, going out of bounds, and not stepping foot in it at all, but it's just so worth grabbing the grenade launcher that we take the extra time needed.
Yeah, essentially what happens is at the end of this level, there's a group of like at least 10 mobs, and with the grenade launcher you can kill all of them in 2 shots. One shot if you're lucky. If you have to do that with even a machine gun, it just takes forever. Anyway, for now, we're chaining a bunch of super jumps. This is technically the longest level in the game, but not with the route that we take. There's supposed to be a much longer section where we're driving that tank and going through the level to reach a dam. But what Gulch did is he drove the tank into a corner between a rock and a hard place, and just exiting the tank forced him out of bounds, and that allows him to just super jump his way directly to the dam instead of going around a half-hour semicircle.
I'm saying I'll do whatever it takes for my people to win this war.
Yeah, and these rifle jumps are a near frame-perfect trick, so getting them consistently is definitely a feat.
I almost forgot we could be fighting against each other some days.
And it also requires
harder on a slope.
Yep.
In war, there is no place for emotion.
Definitely want to be on as flat ground as possible. It might not seem, it may seem like I'm running to arbitrary places, but I'm usually looking for a specific spot where it's the most flat, so I can ensure that I get the rifle jumps as consistently as possible.
I was a soldier before you
slide up this. Didn't quite make it all the way up, so we can do a backup strat here.
Were those ancient Greeks as deadly as they say?
Oh, we got the line.
This is one of my favorite in the game.
Sadly, you can actually go fast enough to not get that line read.
So here I'm just trying to walk into this wall and try to clip back in bounds here. I fell through a hole in the ground. This is kind of where the grenade launcher comes into play that we grabbed at the church last level. So we're gonna run and gather these enemies up. It's required for us to be around here to exit the level and also kill these enemies, so we're gonna do it at the same time. And there we go. We'll wipe out those enemies pretty easily by gathering them up and shooting with the grenade launcher, pushing them back into a close proximity so you can take them out as efficiently as possible.
The root of all evil.
All right, now on to chapter 7.
This is a fun one. There's a couple different methods you can use to clear this level. Which are roughly the same. One of them is about 5 seconds faster, but it's also way riskier because it involves a lot more blind movement. But basically, Gulch is immediately forcing himself out of bounds and jumping over to the last area of the game. The problem is that the game is not going to want to load in the last area, so Gulch is going to line himself up with the exit, jump in, and blindly navigate his way to that doorway that you saw a little to the left, and basically just wait for a context trigger to occur so that he can walk through the door and trigger the last fight.
And we have to do this little, it's only one enemy that we have to kill. Luckily, we have the grenade launcher to help make this a little bit more efficient and consistent. But we're gonna walk to our left here through the door once it opens, skip a cutscene, and then kill an enemy here with our grenade launcher. And that ends the level.
And now for probably my favorite and also least favorite level of the game, because there's, like, the whole level basically is out of bounds. Gulch is gonna come into this little corner here. This is supposed to be a secret where you pick up the LMG, but this little gap you can force yourself through if you drop the frame rate to 30 and just hot swap your weapon repeatedly. So now Gulch is gonna just jump across the ceilings of the game and launch himself towards the end boss fight. And this is a boss fight where you don't actually have to kill the boss, you just have to end the fight, even by losing. I think it's a scripted loss anyway, but yeah, so we just trigger the boss fight encounter and jump to our death.
That was very nice. First try on that, because it's a very precise rifle jump all the way across the map. You can bonk your head really easily, so that's awesome.
And there's pits everywhere.
Yeah, oh yeah. Now we're on to chapter 9, the run killer of the game.
Still is, but it's a lot better than it used to be. This level is literally the split title on my split file is shenanigans. Because there's so much that can go wrong with it. There's so many pinching points.
All right, so we're gonna line up here and try to do a boost by running into this corner where the collision meets and jumping. It'll give us some height. And we need enough height to get on top of this little platform over to the left here in order to get out of bounds.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like a mandatory fight in order to get through the door. But doing this, we can like go through the little circle in the grating. Oof, unfortunate.
Close, close.
Also a nice quality of life feature for the speedrunners of this game. We do use an auto splitter with a load remover, so quick loading whenever this fails, you don't lose nearly as much time as it initially appears.
And this is why this particular trick is why this chapter is the run killer, because it's kind of up to chance how they want to fling you up here.
Ideally, you want to get a launch that takes you all the way up to that little ledge, but there's a couple of backup strats if you don't get quite the momentum you need. It's really just not liking you.
Yeah, I have not had this much problems, just marathon luck, you know? But this is why we have some padding. We're doing great on time, so not quite enough.
If anything, it looks like maybe you need to be a little more right.
Yeah, we can, like this. Maybe it's the, we'll take out a rifle. Maybe it's the glove luck.
Oh, I've never thought of that. I always run through at the bar though, so maybe that's the key to my consistency.
Mm-hmm. If we have a backup strat, if this is gonna be mean to us, but it can also, the backup strat can also cause the game to soft lock and not progress, so it's a little risky because there's some trigger that you can miss. Which I don't know where it exists, but
I don't even know what the backup strat you're talking about is.
You can do some rifle jumps to get on top of here, and we might do it
Okay,
here.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
I've never had this much trouble on it, but just a marathon look. Okay. Almost. Give it a couple more tries, and if not, we'll do the backup. Yeah, it's just not liking us today.
So it goes. That was almost.
You can
almost landed the backup on the little hose there.
Yeah, you can jump off either the ball, get on top of it, or land on that. Okay, let's do the backup here. Okay.
Something is changing inside me.
So I'm gonna rifle jump up here.
Have to follow them?
Oop.
What am I doing here?
I'm gonna try to rifle jump up onto that as well. So.
It really doesn't like you today.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
There we go. Okay, and now we just need to do. Okay, that's fine.
That works.
There we go. So we want to get up here. I'm gonna rifle jump away out of this window onto this ledge here.
I don't know how you do that ledge. That terrifies me. Because, like, so the method that you have to do to get those forward launches is you do have to run forward before you do the melee jump. And that ledge is very thin.
Making our way through this level just by going out of bounds, jumping on top of the buildings, and making our way to the end of the level boss fight, which is right in this arena here. I'm gonna walk up.
Gulch is gonna trigger an enemy spawn before he actually clips into the arena, and hopefully he'll kill the two enemies that spawn first quickly enough to trigger the boss fight without going through the whole enemy wave.
Perfect. Nice.
If I kill him, will I die?
So yeah, here's our evil twin. There is no explanation to why this exists or why we're fighting it.
I'm not dying. Yes, die and
But
set
since we
me
picked up
free.
the LMG earlier, we can go through with
so clear,
very
so purified,
easy time.
so untouched. My soul. January 8th.
And we're gonna
this is
grab this letter in order to cut the audio off early and just progress the level earlier than intended.
Yeah, ideally this is where you use the quick save to cut through the dialogue, but where it lands you in the dialogue after the quick save is basically random. So sometimes you'll get an immediate end, sometimes it's still faster to go cut them off the document like that. Now we have the final boss of the game, the Golem. And this is going to be a two-phase boss. The first one is just a simple arena shooter where we're whittling down the boss to a certain HP threshold where it'll form a command grab and take us into the second phase. And now we're going to have our first utilization in the speedrun of... Oh god, what is the gauntlet called? The Shadow Hand?
Yeah, yep.
Yep, so we're going to be using our vampiric powers that we've very recently acquired to throw fireballs at this boss. But in the meantime, we need to play a little bit of DBD and trigger these generators, because each generator you trigger increases the firepower of your fireball. In the meantime, Gulch is going to be whittling away at the boss's health with this grenade launcher, because even just doing 2 fully charged fireballs isn't enough to kill the boss outright. You still need to do a little bit of damage on your own. And I don't think you even do all of the generators each fireball, do you?
I do 5, yeah, I do the 5 of them, and then do the full, you know, the full power shot. Just 2 rounds. So that's our 5th one here. I'm gonna save and then shoot it at him and see his health just absolutely tank.
And the quick save is very important there, because it is very easy to just like either miss completely or accidentally hit one of the mobs. And that is a very sad time if you have to go around and hit all of the generators again just to get your first hit.
Yep, and the quick save can actually bite you in the butt if you do it too early. So if I save as soon as I hit the lever, and then the next time I go around and try to hit that lever, it's just going to be stuck. So that can happen very easily, and that's just a kind of a run killer there. So you want to be really careful.
I see someone say that this seems like a Painkiller last boss, and you're absolutely correct. This game was actually made by the same people who made Painkiller, and it's on the same engine. Right? Time should be when this boss dies, and that's time.
This outro for this game is one of my favorites. I just want to let this play out because I love it so much. This character is amazing.
At last, the artifact is mine. Its power courses through me. I feel it commanding me. And now that I know what to do, I will not hesitate. Only I know how to use this power. The demons are winning this war, and not a single human or vampire can survive without me. I must create a new army, an army of the undead. Warriors without doubts, without mercy, without fear. There can be only one ruler of the darkness. Now is my time!
Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. And that's NecroVision Lost Company. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you Schmumbler for being a part of this as well. It's always fun hanging out with you. Yeah, Schmumbler, do you have anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, so if this game seems interesting to you, we do have a Discord server for it. You can find the link to that in the speedrun.com page for the game. There's also some folks who are working on some no major glitches categories for this game as well. If you would like to be a part of routing that, hit us up.
And there's a tutorial for this game, so if you want to learn it yourself, it's all in the Discord.
Also, huge shout outs to Astrid the Horror Girl, who is the person who put all of us onto this game and who unfortunately could not make it with us tonight.
Yep. And that's it for me. Thank you guys so much. I'm Gulch2 with Schmump.